Again, I gotta say, this is the kind of video that I like doing. If there's some meat to this, and there appears to be, at least at this point, I guess it has to go past the Senate now, but the House passes a bill targeting midnight, if you will, Obama regulations. In other words, which I'll just read it. This is from thehill.com. I mean, they track this stuff. The House on Thursday passed legislation that would allow Congress to overturn in a single vote any regulations finalized in the last days of the Obama administration. Despite Democratic opposition, the Midnight Rule Relief Act passed largely along party lines by a 240 to 179 vote. The bill would amend the Congressional Review Act to allow Congress to overturn many rules all at once by way of resolution. Representative Bob Goodlatte, Republican, Virginia, urged his colleagues on the floor Thursday morning to pass the legislation and tell the American people that lawmakers heard them on Election Day loud and freaking clear. The American people have said no to the continuance of the Obama administration's policies, he said. This bill guarantees that Congress can prevent any and all last-minute defiance of the people's will by midnight regulations that stubbornly seem to entrench the last pieces of the administration's bipartisan agenda. So what he's saying, what this bill is saying, that they did pass, and we supposedly still run the Senate too, we as in Republicans, right? So this bill, if it passed the House, should easily pass the Senate. However, doesn't the president have to sign these into law? Is he actually going to sign something like this into law? House passes a bill targeting midnight Obama regulations. Now, you did see the Congress critters, with their House and Senate included, get together in an unbelievable vote not that long ago that I covered. That was about the 28 pages 9/11 thing. We are going to allow citizens to sue Saudi Arabia for any part that they may have had of 9/11, which should be news to everybody, because you're going to say, over the past 15 years since 9/11, when have we ever heard that Saudi Arabia was involved? And only recently. As I said, timing is everything. Timing is everything, and nothing happens by chance. They did this on purpose. Saudi Arabia replied, if you do that and pass it, we will ultimately start dumping our U.S. assets and treasuries, in retaliation, essentially. If they can get together to bypass Obama's veto, which is why they did that, why wouldn't they get together on something like this? You don't want a president stepping out of office to just throw a bunch of stuff in place. So, at the same time, the next president could easily go right in there and say, I'm undoing that. My question here, though, again, it looks good, it sounds good, it actually passed the House. Chances are it's going to pass the Senate. But then you're going to ask the guy who this bill's against, hey, will you mind signing this? Hey, boss, will you sign this for us? What is it? It's about your own demise, kind of. You can't do anything on the way out. That sounds good. I'll go ahead and sign that. No. So on one hand, yeah, it sounds good. This is a good video for old J Snip 4. I feel good to read this to you. But then who has to sign it into law? Oh, wait a minute, right? House Republicans are doing everything in their power to keep the Obama administration from enacting any new rules in its final days. Earlier in the week, House Majority Leader Kevin McCarthy, Republican, California, warned the federal agencies in a letter not to finalize any pending rules or regulations from now to the inauguration. Those that are, he assured, will be scrutinized and, if appropriate, overturned. While the bill targets rules finalized in the lame duck period between Election Day and President-elect Donald Trump's January 20th inauguration, Representative Hank Johnson, Democrat, Georgia, argues its reach is much further. Despite the bill's colorful title, he said the legislation allows Congress to overturn rules finalized as far back as May. Johnson cited pro-regulatory groups like Public Citizen in disputing Republican claims that midnight regulations are rushed through at the end of an administration in haste. Quoting a recent report, he said rules finalized in the last 3 months of an administration take 3.6 years on average to complete. This is a solution to non-existent and undocumented problems, he said, adding that once a rule is invalidated, an agency cannot adopt a similar rule without congressional consent. Representative Sheila Jackson, Democrat, Texas, Sheila Jackson Lee, accused House Republicans of trying once again to undermine President Obama. This is in block destruction of regulations that may save lives, she said. This is to say, in your eye, Mr. President. The bill's author, Representative Darrell Issa, rebutted the claim. The Congress lady would have you believe it's an attack on our president. It's not. It's a law that would allow Congress to reassert the authority that's constitutionally and inherently always ours. So, again, you're asking a bill to pass, which it barely passed. Not barely, but I mean, was it 260? What did it say? It was 240 to 179, but doesn't it have to be, I'm trying to think what the majority is, the actual number, isn't it 260 or something to be considered a majority? That way they can bypass the president. I don't know the exact number. But Senate has to do the same thing too. So, again, it sounds good. I'm glad to see this go forward, but are you going to, you're Obama, are you going to sign that knowing, man, do I got some regulation plans up my sleeve? Hopefully he's saying, you know what, no I don't. Because if Trump gets in there and I do this, it's going to piss him off more. And I already know he knows about my birth certificate issues. And I also know he knows about a whole lot of other stuff that I really hope doesn't come up. Since he did go on the Alex Jones show and tell Alex Jones and his listeners, by the way, if I get elected, says Trump, your people are really going to like me, Alex Jones. So maybe Obama's saying, you know what, let me just tiptoe. Maybe I'll just tiptoe out of the White House so that he doesn't start looking into some of the stuff that I've done. Like I said before, I would love to hear Trump, see him get out there, start investigating everything. I want to talk to the Orlando chief of police. I want to talk to the fire department, ambulance. I want them in my office tomorrow morning. And I want the lady who was fake crying on TV who said he lost her son. And I can see the reflective camera lights, the exit sign, the teleprompter off your sunglasses and eyeglasses, and you're supposed to be standing down in the middle of Orlando because your son got shot and killed in the Orlando nightclub shooting. I'd like to talk to you, ma'am. I want you in my office tomorrow morning as well. Oh my God, would I love to see that. But I think that kind of stuff only happens on different planets. So, sorry about your luck. Sorry about my luck. JSnip4, out. Take care.